Hey everybody, Clint, we got to go see Trainwreck last night, and shocking, not a train wreck.
No, I liked it.
A movie with a title that is just begging to be bad and then have puns and headlines afterwards.
Yeah.
It was totally good.
They never actually say the word train wreck in the movie, which was nice.
Yeah, that was refreshing.
Pet peeve, when you say the name of the movie in the movie, no me gusta.
So, Trainwreck, of course, is Judd Apatow's film written by and starring Amy Schumer that's coming out this weekend. It's about Amy Schumer, who is basically a train wreck.
She's playing someone named Amy, which is a big stretch. But she's actually a journalist. She's a, magazine writer in this movie. She's got a pretty decent life going. She's basically a functional party girl. Great job, great apartment, and, she basically narrates all these things at the top of the movie to kind of set that all up for you. And
then it places sort of oddly spaced in the middle, which occasionally the VO came out and I was like, oh,
I forgot this
was a VO movie.
Yeah, that was weird.
But don't let that make you think that we hated the movie. Because we're going to keep talking about it, because we actually like the movie. So,
which is saying a lot, because I'm someone who detests romantic comedies, but I like this one.
Which ultimately, the story in this movie is beat for beat a standard romantic comedy.
Everything you think is going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah, the good news is, it lands. All of those beats, all of those formulaic beats that are in every romantic comedy, they all land, and they all land in just a left of center enough way to be fun and honest and grounded, and it was a really enjoyable time.
Right, and if you're any sort of comedy fan like I am, it's actually really fun just to see all of the different people popping up in this movie. There's a lot of really great comedians in it. Yeah. Mike Birbiglia, Dave Attell, Colin Quinn, the list goes on and on. So, just on top of it actually being a funny and engaging movie, it was fun to just see comedians I like who I haven't seen in a very long time.
Yeah. My big takeaway from this movie is that Judd Apatow is kind of back.
Yeah.
Sort of. It reminds me much more of his earlier stuff, The 40-Year-Old Virgin and all that. Yeah, it reminds me of that more than it does This Is 40 or Funny People or any of the other handful of semi-autobiographical movies that Judd Apatow has made lately.
I basically took a break from Apatow because I heard how bad This Is 40 was, and I was just like, you know what, I think I'm going to skip this one.
And I think him directing somebody else's script was a really positive experience for him. Because the movie seemed to be having a lot of fun with itself. There was energy with everybody on set. And so I think a lot of that has to do with, I'm sure, Judd Apatow enjoying directing a movie again.
Right, and I think, that someone else's script would actually be Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer wrote and stars in the film. And I have to say, I'm really, really proud of her. I've been sort of a casual fan of hers for a while. So if you're either a casual Amy Schumer fan or a big Amy Schumer fan, you're really going to like this movie because she not only impressed me with her comedy, because she is straight up funny in the movie in a lot of really unexpected ways. A good half dozen belly laughs for me. But
it's not just one of those movies where a stand-up stars in it and it feels like their stand-up routine, but
Right, but she's also a great actress in it too. I feel like there's actually some scenes that are a little bit heavier, and she delivers a really impressive performance.
The rest of the cast is very good. Bill Hader doesn't have to do any heavy lifting. He's
the straight man.
I would argue that Bill Hader was actually too good in this movie because he comes across so natural, so easy. He's such an every guy kind of character. That it barely seems like acting.
He's another one who impressed me with this acting because I'm a huge fan of Bill Hader because I love Saturday Night Live and I will watch anything he's in. Earlier this year, or actually probably late last year, he was in The Skeleton Twins, which was sort of more a dark comedy with Kristen Wiig, and he impressed me in that as well. But to see him stretch himself to play a normal person, I think was the biggest stretch I've seen from him yet, and he does it with much aplomb.
Tilda Swinton, shocking. I saw Tilda Swinton's name in the credits. And I was like, wait a minute, who was Tilda Swinton in this movie? Yeah. And it finally hit me that she's the magazine editor, the crazy Cockney, insane woman of a magazine editor. Hilarious. Yeah. She's great.
Her character is definitely one of the more over-the-top characters, and you get an assortment of those in any Judd Apatow movie. But I think, she was borderline unrecognizable for me. It took me a good 30 seconds, and Clint literally did not recognize
Literally didn't recognize. She's all spray-tanned and big, long blonde hair.
Yeah, but she's really fun and funny in it.
And the cameos didn't really get obnogious for me, except for one beat. When Marv Albert shows up, I'm done.
That was the worst.
Yeah, but everybody at LeBron... He's LeBron, but he's fine. He's playing himself. John Cena, I think, has proven now that he can capably handle a cameo. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, great, we found our new action star, or we found our new, Channing Tatum guy.
Yeah.
But he can very capably handle a funny cameo, which is cool.
With both Cena and LeBron James, you have an athlete trying to act, and that's very, very evident, but it's nowhere near as bad like a Michael Jordan acting performance. Like, I think they still do decently well enough, and they put them in as much as they could before it got to the point of being a real eye roll.
And they were so clearly having fun, too.
Yeah.
I could have used a little... John Cena kind of comes and goes pretty quick. I could have used a little less LeBron.
Yeah,
but the one scene that I think is completely useless would have been that little less of LeBron that I would have appreciated. Now, the other fun thing for me about watching this movie last night is I saw it at South by Southwest back in March,
right,
when it was still a work in progress.
And if you want to check that video out, I'm sure there's an annotation somewhere.
Probably. I don't know. You'll have to ask Christina. But watching the movie back at South by Southwest, there were like all of these running jokes. So they would tell 3 jokes kind of rapid fire. And then we would laugh at the first joke, miss the second joke because we were still laughing at the first one, and then come back for the third joke because we were like, oh, they're still telling jokes, everybody listen. They smoothed that out completely.
Yeah.
There's a couple of rapid fire segments, but they're paced really well. So it was interesting to see the work in progress version and then now the final version. Nothing got cut wholesale, which again,
Very
that one
Apatow.
scene with Marv Albert, I wish
you'll know it when you see it.
You'll know it because Marv Albert's there.
Right.
But all that to say, it did get chopped down to a pretty standard Judd Apatow 12 minutes too long kind of length.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think, you know, that's probably just the nature of how he shoots. I mean, he shoots a ton. He insists on having people do improvised takes and doing, 14 versions of every scene. They shot over 1 million feet on 40-Year-Old Virgin, for example, so I'm sure they shot a ton on this, and so much of that is not wanting to throw out the baby with the bathwater and holding on to jokes and being too precious with some of them when there are some that you should probably cut.
And that's hard to argue with, is when you have this collection of funny people, like, being funny together, like, you don't want to get in the way of that, you know, which is, so I don't blame him for his runtimes being a little too long, because for every joke that doesn't hit, there's 3 others that hit really well. It's good. It's a standard romantic comedy, but it's one that does it really well, and it does it just uniquely enough that it's a really good time.
Right, and I think Amy Schumer has managed to distinguish herself in that sort of class of like dirty girl comedians.
Right.
I mean, we have several of these, we've seen it over and over, but I feel like she manages to do it in a way that's very like almost feminist and empowering. And I'm really, really proud of her. I'm really, really excited to see like what's next for her, because I think this is a great start, and it's really nice to see Apatow return to form.
Yeah, and she's got chops too. Like, she can handle carrying a movie, because she carried the movie and she did it really well.
So there you have it. I guess we both thought it was really good and a solid movie to check out.
Yeah.
So let us know in the comments if you're going to see this or the counter-programming this weekend, which is what? I already forgot.
Ant-Man?
Ant-Man, yeah.
Honestly, you'll probably go see both.
Yeah, why not?
Click like and subscribe, and also please stick around CineFix. There's plenty of stuff here. Go watch the
Have a look around. See what you like.
Have yourself a look. We'll see you later.